must believe. Cause the way I feel it ain't no limits but the speed. I trust in me and put my faith in.
Welcome on into Booby's World with Daniel Booby Gibson, Rafa El Alcalde. I'm Nick Padone. What's going on, guys? We got everybody back in here.
Hey, Rob, man, it's a little lonely over here without you, man. I need to get you back to the land, man. Get out that sunshine and come home, man. Damn.
I gotta tell you what, though, I love being remotely because I can hear the jam at the opening. You know, we usually don't do it with headphones.
Yeah, you get to hear them bars, huh? I love it, man. Well, I wish you was here, man, but it's good to see you.
So
Good to see you, man.
Obviously, everybody's got a lot going on. We are just about to get heated up in that NBA Summer League. Booby, I know you've been active at the gym. How's Amani Bates looking, man? I think that's the question everybody wants to know. People are excited for this kid. He seems that he's excited that he's in Cleveland. What's it been like? What's the vibe like out there in Independence?
It's really just been amazing because you can see that right now he's just grateful and thankful to have his chance in the NBA. I feel like for so long he was working and waiting on his opportunity, and now he has it. And you could tell that he's playing with a freedom and a fun right now. And so he's also playing with a lot of other great guys and talent. So he's learning how to pass and play without the ball and be a good teammate. And the good thing about it is he has vets right now that like the Isaiahs and those guys and the Sharif Coopers. Those guys are kind of showing him how to be a pro. And I'm just witnessing it, man. Today, the kid, he finished working out and we were shooting after. He just wanted to keep shooting. I literally had to throw him out of the gym. So to see his work ethic already at that level, that tells me how bad he wanted. So as Cavalier fans, I feel like we should all be excited about the potential of this kid. Obviously, we got to give him time to grow and figure it out because he's still 19. But everything you want out of a kid, 6'10", wingspan, shoot the laces off the ball, I think we have a lot to look forward to in Imani. And y'all know I was happy we got him in the first place. So I'm excited.
You know, in my 9 years with the Cavs, I know that we are very good at welcoming our new members, right? Our new team members. So that part I'm not worried about. But you and I have been talking since the beginning of Booby's World about your role, about your expectations of what you can share with these guys. And this kid cannot fit into the Booby of a few years back, right? So how has that been of sharing and helping and giving him that knowledge? Or at least, you know, it's kind of like when you're kids, it doesn't matter when your parents tell you don't do this because this is going to happen. You're still going to go out and do it. But how has that sharing of the knowledge been for you with the money?
Man, it's been the best part. Because he's a sponge. Like, the moment he came into the gym, he's like, dang, OG, I ain't expect to see you here. And, like, he come up to me just with this excitement, and he's just ready to learn right away. And so we get to going through drills, and he'll miss a shot. And my whole thing is with shooters is you got to have a short memory. It's next shot. But every single thing you tell this kid, he picks it up. But he does it, like, hard. Like, everything is hard. And you can tell, you can just smell the hunger and just how bad he wants to play. So just me being in the position now with him coming in, I could just show him the ropes. All I got to do is just give him the game. And he's a great kid. So for me, this is why I took the opportunity. Guys, kids like him, and even the other young two-way kid we got as well.
And obviously, like everybody, Booby, that gets drafted has a lot to prove, more to himself than anybody else.
Right.
And what's the best balance in that point in trying to not to overdo it or not to really get ahead of yourself in what you're trying to prove?
Right.
And in trying to make it into the league.
So that's one of the first things I tell him. Like, you got here from being yourself. So right now, you need to figure out what your NBA game is going to be, but be yourself. Don't try to get outside of that. And then early on, what I tell the guys when they come in is we're not focusing on scoring. We're not focusing on making shots. Right now, we're focusing on all of the little things. So I've been seeing them crash the board for rebound. I've been seeing them keep guys out of the middle of the paint. Because with Imani, it's for him to get an opportunity on the floor. I think Coach JB and all those guys know he can shoot it. His opportunities on the floor are going to come from how well he picks up the concepts and how well he's willing to be a good teammate and do the little things. And so that's exactly what I'm telling him every day. When you come in this gym, obviously I want to see you make some shots. But your day, whether you have a good day or not, is not based on how many shots you take or make. It's about how hard you play when you step in between those lines. So he been doing a good job.
Booby, I want to ask you.
Talk to me.
Kind of bring me back. How cool is it for you now to be in in this next step? Because Amani will bring people back was a guy that you had scouted, that you were kind of pounding the table for in here.
Yeah.
How cool is it to see that eagerness and that excitement out of the dude that you honestly wanted really bad to end up being drafted by Cleveland? How cool has this all been for you personally?
It's special, man. Like coming in, you don't really know what's gonna happen with the whole scouting out there. You feel like you know basketball, you feel like you know talent, but I feel like with Imani, it was just undeniable. And the beauty of it is when he comes in, you get to witness the whole process of growth. So right now, it's raw. You'll see him take some shots that he's used to taking in high school and college, but you're able to give him the game and just watch him start to add those pieces. And so for me, that's literally the best part. I get the same feeling that I got when I made a corner three and the crowd went crazy. I get the same feeling when I tell E, hey, next time you come down the floor, be prepared for this. And then when I see him do it out there on the court, I get that same feeling. So it's been a special time for me for sure.
So what do the guys call him? I know his name is Imani Bates, but what's he?
See, I'm good with the nicknames. I call him. We got EB. I call him Money, the Money Man. Everything. We just when he shoot it now, it's money. You feel me? So it's I'm coming up with different stuff as we go along. But right now it's EB. But I'm sure the way he shoot the ball, he'll have a lot of nicknames real soon. Because today was special. I'm not gonna lie. We were leaving and he wouldn't leave without making 5 in a row from 7 spots. That's special to me because guys can't do that.
All right, so we'll pack the Amani talk there.
We
NBA
can talk
free
about
agency
E all day.
also going on. Kind of brings up the question that people want to know is, are super teams dead? When you look at the NBA over these last 5 years, the last 5 champions haven't exactly been super teams per se. Obviously, this year with Denver, just a solid constructed roster. Golden State without KD. Milwaukee, obviously, when Giannis's hard work paid off. LA in the bubble. Toronto before that. Booby, what's your thought? Do you think super teams, guys kind of done ring chasing and joining forces? What are your thoughts on all that?
I don't think they done. I think these guys still gonna want to play together and still gonna try to compete for championships. But exactly. But I do think now it's not gonna be as easy for those guys to come together and win championships as you see. Teams are putting organizations together and finding role players and pieces and building teams where it's not. You don't need three guys to be able to do it. As long as you got a whole unit that's working the same together and has one dream and one goal, it seems like those teams are knocking off those teams that don't have a bench because they didn't spent all that money on 3-4 guys to bolster their starting lineup.
It's hard for me to think of how it used to be, but obviously the big three era with the Celtics probably that started with those three, with Garnett and everybody and Paul Pierce going in there. But I believe that not only it's harder to do it the way Phoenix or the way we have been doing it, even the Warriors, because the Warriors were built around the draft. And I think that makes you get a team that would last longer. That window stays open a little longer than when you do it with just free agents coming in and jumping in.
Exactly. And I feel like that's exactly what happened to Phoenix last year. We see Kevin Durant go over there. You like, oh, Book, Ayton, CP, you thinking they finna run the table. And then they run into that Denver team who had a bench already. They've been building for 6 or 7 years. They all know how to play together. And now you get this new crew and they get put out the playoffs in the second round. So you're absolutely right.
All right, we're going to snag a quick commercial break here. Don't go anywhere because when we come back, more free agency straight ahead. It's Booby's World on the Big Play Network. Alrighty, welcome on back into Booby's World with Daniel Booby Gibson, Rafa El Alcalde. I'm Nick Padone. Guys, we were talking a little bit of free agency before the break. It's time for Booby 4-3. Every week, the guys rank their top 3 things of something. This time, we're going to rank our top 3 free agent destinations. We've heard of the LAs. We've heard of the Miamis. We want some underrated free agent destinations today, guys.
I'm going to let Ralph go first. I thought I had picked my top 3 free agent signings of all time, but I got the destinations on deck. What you got, Ralph?
Are we talking destinations right now? Or
Yeah,
we
let's go
talking?
destinations right now.
Well, you were talking about earlier about hometown discount or whatever you were calling it before. Obviously, we're not talking about Fred Van Vliet, about Booby giving the Houston discount there, but
Yeah.
What happened with that?
Woo, that wasn't no discount. They
that's a
dropped the
bag.
they dropped the bag over there. You got the bag sound over there, ching ching ching.
Ching, ching.
You got the ching ching
But
sound.
the way they have been acting in the free agency, and with LeBron being there, I think the Lakers are a destination right now for somebody that are just missing that little bling in his hand. Obviously, Phoenix, the way they have been building up, it
Mhm.
is one of the other destinations I think would be good. And if you want to be part of something new, something historic, with Wembanyama going there to San Antonio, even though there'll be moving pieces there, I would throw that in there just to be part of that new era supposedly of NBA basketball.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I jump on that same train when you think about young talent and go OKC. I feel like when you look at
Mhm.
when we saw them play in Sacramento, it's like that roster is loaded with talent. So we
Yeah.
don't know at one point will they add a star, will they continue to just build these young guys. But I feel like that's exciting for any free agent to want to be a part of. Off the floor, I'm always going with Toronto because they got the on the court and they got the nightlife too. So gotta throw them in there. And then a sleeper is always Atlanta. Like I feel like everybody want to go get the Lou Will wings from Magic
Yeah.
City after the game. So Atlanta's is also a good spot. And I feel like they on the fringe. I mean, I know they just got rid of one of their guys, but when you think about Trae Young, a superstar talent, I just feel like he just needs that piece that like he fits well with, just like they went to the Eastern Conference Finals maybe 2 years ago. So they not that far off. I feel like Trey just need a little company over there, so that could be a good spot as well.
And remember that this year, DeJounte Murray and Trey Young should be a much better operation there now with a year under their belt. I know you mentioned Collins leaving, and now what they're going to do in that part. But one of the things that just came up to my mind when you mentioned Oklahoma City, nobody's been talking about that duel of at least 3 or 4 times between Chet and Wemby, because Chet has put on some weight, and
Chet look,
that should be a good battle in the
yeah.
Western Conference coming up.
Nah, Chet look good, and for some reason we forgot about my guy. Since he had the injury, we kind of forgot about him. So being able to see him playing that California Classic, it's like we all like, oh shit, we might be looking. We was finna give the Rookie of the Year to Wembanyama, but hold on, wait a minute. I
Yeah.
think Chet gonna have something to say about that this year.
You guys know me. I looked at those betting odds pretty quick and saw if I could slide me a
Hey,
little on.
you might be on to something because Chet he
That's
he
what I'm
gonna get the
saying, man.
same amount of opportunity, and people do not realize how much just having a year of being around NBA basketball, being on an NBA staff, and having an opportunity, just how much it helps your game grow.
Booby, you mentioned OKC and all this, and kind of bringing this Chet convo full circle. When you talk about OKC, could they add a superstar down the road? In your playing career, how do you know if a free agent is going to fit in? Like, is that something that you kind of know off rip, or once the guy gets in there, like, is it a slow kind of thing? Because obviously I feel like it's probably different situation to situation, but how is it, I guess, when a new guy comes in free agency? I imagine it's got to be similar, like first day of school vibes.
Yeah, nah, it's tough. That's a really tough thing about the league because it's always fit. Like if a guy's going to a team that pushes the ball and like he's a guy that likes to run the floor, then it kind of works. I think of one that kind of worked out when I think of what you describing is Kawhi Leonard. The 1 year he went to Toronto, like you didn't know if it was gonna work, but you knew Toronto had a team full of long arm wings. Where you get a guy like that who can now make shots, now you become a contender to win a final because now you got somebody that can close games. So I think teams try to find somebody that fits their mold, find a star that fits their mold. But that's what it all comes down to. Like that's a front office thing by just trying to find somebody that plays your style of basketball.
And if you think about it too, man, OKC has an all NBA guy now in Shea Gilgeous, and we haven't seen him with Chet.
Talk to him.
And I think going back to what we were talking about, instead of the big team that built around the draft, that's one thing Oklahoma has right now. No, draft assets, and they got the Williams kids are really promising. Lugan Dirt, it's really really promising as well. And I still intrigued again about what Chet Holmgren is gonna do in his first year of the NBA. So I think they're more built about completing the puzzle as opposed to bringing. Obviously, nobody's gonna say no to a big superstar, but they're right there.
But to your point, it could always take away from the growth of some of those young guys too. When you bring a star in that's gonna want the ball, it's gonna take away from that. But like you said, they have a star in Shea, who was an All-Star last year. If Chet can take that step forward, now you pretty much got the pieces there. So they have players that can become stars. And unless they trying to win like right now and like mortgage a future that they've been working so hard on these past couple years, I do think they the type to be patient and let it happen.
How about this one, guys? Booby, to that point, is there a right time to kind of push your chips to the center, in your opinion, and go all in? Obviously, OKC isn't there yet, right? Because they've been stockpiling these picks. They got young stars. Obviously, Shea, young star. Chet, they think could be that guy. Still to be seen. Is there a point where, okay, you're in the playoffs consistently, but you're not really making any noise, haven't got to a conference finals? Is that when you kind of say, screw it, we're going for a big fish, or is it just kind of depend?
I don't know, because that's tough. I feel like that's the Portland Trailblazers dilemma for the last 5 years. Like, do we want to break it up because we're close enough to maybe get a guy that could put us over the top? Or do we start over from scratch and try to rebuild? Again, that's that front office piece that why these guys that are in those seats get paid the big bucks, because it's really up to them to determine, do you push forward or do you step back? And that's kind of like I wanted think that's what the Heat are trying to do now. Like, they've been like right on the brink for a couple years, and I think they're one of those teams that, like, if they can get a Dame Lillard or if they can get somebody like that, they feel like they can add another championship to that franchise.
Obviously,
yeah, but
go ahead, Rob.
I'm sorry, but the Heat is that team, like, totally different than Oklahoma City, that they can just bring a superstar and really play like they've been playing all their life together with Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry and all the other pieces, and Bam Adebayo, they're going to leave there. But I think the Nuggets have been the proof that you just have to have a really, really great front office like we have done for the last years of building the core, and then just stick to your guns. Right. You cannot just, like you said, put it all in when you have to think of so many things. It's in hard. Terms of cap, in terms of luxury tax, in terms of everything, and just stick to your guns and believe that what you have is obviously, like we have right now, an Evan Mobley that could become a superstar in the NBA, and Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and just keep adding those pieces. And look at what Denver did when they added the right pieces to Jokic and Murray.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I will say, it's very hard to do. I think it's underrated how hard building that culture is, because, like you said, it's only been a few teams to be able to do it. You had your San Antonio run a while back. You had your Detroit Pistons run a little bit after that. And then it's all about building that culture. And I feel like the Cavs, to speak to us, are doing exactly that same thing. So you don't want to push them all in too soon, and now you end up in that situation where you have to start over. But you hope to find that guy that can just put you right over the top.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to snag another commercial break. When we come back, we're going down memory lane. Booby was a free agent a couple times. We'll talk a little bit about it. More Booby's World straight ahead.
Booby's discount.
Yes, sir. Definitely took the discount.
Alrighty, welcome on back into Booby's World. Daniel Booby Gibson, Rafa El Alcalde. Guys, we talked a little bit about hometown discounts, free agency. Booby, you spent your whole career right here in Cleveland. Was there ever a time where you flirted with free agency to see what was out there, see what other teams were interested?
Nope, Cleveland threw it through. Nah, after my first, the beauty of that first year when I came in with the Cavs and I had that incredible run in that playoffs, my contract was 2 years. They guaranteed me my first 2 years, which is rare for a second round pick. So I got to do free agency that following year, and it was no way. I didn't even think about going nowhere else. With LeBron here, with what we were building, we winning 60, 70 games a year. Never thought about it. And then to fast forward to my second free agency, that's when like a lot of my turmoil happened. I had my ankle injury that kind of ended the first part of it, and then the knee injury to come after that. So a lot of people were wondering like why I retired so early, it was more so along the lines of as I was going through the free agency process, my body just kind of just broke down on me. You know what I mean? And so my free agency process was different, but when I was going into it, Cleveland was always in the driver's seat, just from relationships in the community, relationships in the organization, and that me just always feeling like this was the best fit, and I just didn't really want to play anywhere else. So that was kind of how I handled my free agency both times.
Let me take a little like extra page of this down memory lane and ask you about, because in the media you always hear about players playing on their contract year, right? When you're a free agent and that negotiation is coming up.
That's a
How
real
does the
thing.
mentality change? Does it really come into play? I mean, obviously it has to, right? But how does that work?
You really, as a player, you really try not to think about it, right? Because you don't want to be out there thinking about if I miss this shot, I'm not making no money, no, I'm gonna lose the bag. You know, you don't want to play like that. So you try not to get in your own head about it. But honestly, what it does is most of us perform our best when our back against the wall. And so that's kind of what happens naturally. Like, we know it's our contract year. So you going to the gym extra hours, you leaving late, you spending all your hours focusing on that. When you should do it all the time, but when you're in a contract year, it just amplifies that focus. So that's why you see guys have great years when it's time for the bag, because they know that at that point, like, that's what basketball is, all that matters. So they put all their eggs in one basket, and that's it happened for me too. I'm not gonna lie, like I had been working my ass off every year, but then that year when it came time for that, I had my best year, like numbers wise, because I mean, hey, you got to get it done. Your family depending on it. Hey, the family depending on it, man.
You know the old saying, you want to win, put Booby in.
There you go, man.
Booby, was there ever a time that you pitched a free agent to come to Cleveland? If not, have you heard different pitches from different guys kind of around the league of like how they kind of bring guys into their circle, into their teams?
Man, I got one great story. I've won a lot of awards for basketball, and a lot of people have told me I was pretty good at basketball. But the one sales pitch I got, I was at the All-Star game in 2008. I think I was going into my free agency. And my guy, I was sitting under the basket. Kobe Bryant walks up behind me and like taps me on the shoulder. I'm sitting next to Kyrie. Taps me on the shoulder, and he like, I could use a sniper. And just like, that's my championship in that moment. Don't nobody else got to tell me I'm good at basketball ever in life, because the Mamba, he don't trust nobody and don't give nobody that type of recognition. And for him to step to me and say, I could use you on my team, to me, that was the greatest compliment I could ever get. So to your question, when guys like that, I'm pretty sure if Bron jumped on the phone and told somebody he wanted them to play, or like Kobe, that's probably the best sales pitch you could ever get. Like, if a star wants you to come play with him. But that was my one draft. I mean, that was my one story. But man, that was, to me, the epitome of like my basketball career.
Yeah, and that's a really cool story. Obviously, this has been a really fun episode talking free agency with you guys. We had a little bit of breaking news before the show. Booby, your old teammate Anthony Parker has now the new GM of the Orlando Magic. Did you know when you were playing with him that he would be a front office guy?
Yes. I used to call him President Parker, because like, he just had an aura about himself that he was always organized, always on top of everything, never late. Just had a presence about himself that you knew when he got done playing basketball. I ain't know if it was gonna be directly related to basketball that fast, but I know whatever he did, he was gonna max out at it and be great at it, because he was just always prepared. Like, if you look at Anthony Parker's game, he had a little Kobe to him. You know what I mean? Like, as far as the little fade that he always shot. But his work ethic, I'm not surprised that he moved up the ladder that fast, and he deserves it, because AP's a good dude.
I think everybody in Cleveland is excited too. AP, kind of like a guy like yourself, definitely beloved here still in the land. So a lot of love for AP.
Yes,
guys, that's a show. Another good one. Thanks everybody so much for tuning in.
Hey, you ain't saying nothing. I was looking in my camera, and like, I've been doing this super water, this challenge, bro.
Yeah, man.
If you compare like the first episode, if I know you could probably pull it up. We could pull it up at the end of this one. Pull up one of the other episodes and pull this
Slim
one
it
up.
down.
Ooh, you see your boy. Hey, next episode I might be here with my shirt off. You might want to stay on the road for that one. You know what I'm saying?
Remember, Booby, $10 on 13 on the roulette whenever you get a chance.
I got you. We're on the way there from here.
Good luck in Vegas, man.
I got you.
Have fun in Vegas,
Yes,
Booby.
sir.
Obviously, a lot of work, too, going in with the Cavs this summer league. We will see everybody next time. Booby's World signing off.
By the bops way, but on this road to success ain't no stops made. Ain't no room for doubt either, so you must believe.
Okay, guys.
Cause the way I feel it ain't no limits but the speed.